Hi there, everyone. My name is Samuel Simmons, and this is my EDL 851 Module 8, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluation. First slide has been dedicated to just summarizing the content of the three articles that we had to read. The NEA article was loaded with information, especially on the ESSA Act. Really got into how states had to develop and redesign their own teacher evaluation plan. The second article on teacher evaluation and issue overview really got into the four factors, that play a significant factor into teacher evaluations, as well as the 2009 American Reinvestment Act. And it also provides some information on the entity like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that played a factor into the evaluations. The last one was just loaded with tons of information on lawsuits that have been fired across the country, and that is the teacher evaluation heads to court article. So in the Kansas City, Kansas Public School District, where I currently work as a curriculum instructional coach, we have adopted the Learning Sciences Marzano Teacher Evaluation system. It's just a plan that we adopted probably about 3 or 4 years ago, right around that 2014-15 school year. The number of observations and evaluations vary, probably just like most districts, depending on experience. We do have a new teacher mentor program where all new teachers are cooperatively have a collaborative partner. Just the goal of this Marzano plan is that that the system, the process is built on providing teachers with evidence from their classroom, as well as student evidence and teacher evidence of what they're doing, just to help their instructional practice and help their growth. So this is a continuation of the Marzano teacher evaluation model. What you guys see here are just the design questions that come with the Marzano teacher evaluation plan, and there's 41 elements that we kind of focus on here in the Kansas City, Kansas School District, and these are the instructional strategies that teachers get to choose and process. You can inform your principal that you're really working on a certain element, a certain instructional strategy, and they can come in and observe your classroom as you really work on that particular element. I'll get in a little bit more detail about these elements here shortly. This is just continuing those teaching elements, those instructional strategies. The first slide that you guys saw was domain 1 that we really focus a lot on. This is domain 2, 3, and 4 that, again, as we continue to grow as a system, just some more instructional strategies and elements that we will push out to teachers, again, to really help them grow and improve the instructional practice. This is our model of instruction, again, obviously taken directly from Marzano teaching evaluation process. And this is the model of instruction that every teacher, every building really plays a significant factor in making sure teachers know, understand, can process, and know what each one of these sections mean, starting with standards-based planning, really diving into to their standards and understanding their standards. The criteria for success is where we start to create performance scales where students can really see their learning, know what they're going to be learning, know where they stand on their performance scale, can highlight where they are, and really make the connections between standards and the content being presented in the classroom. Moving into the instruction column, you see those are the instructional strategies that we really focus on. They're broken up into three design questions, DQ 2, 3, and 4. And it's really all about, whether it's new information being presented in the class, when you're taking students deeper, and when you're really pushing their cognitive levels, when you're creating cognitively complex targets. So those instructional strategies really lend themselves well to assist teachers when they are working with students to help them process new information, take them deeper, and then take their learning beyond levels that they're probably used to. The conditions is all about just getting to know your students, having those rules in place and having conditions in place where you can have that all-inclusive classroom, safe environment for students to learn. So our teacher evaluation process kind of works like this. We utilize a system called iObservation, which is tailored to the Marzano teacher evaluation process. And all of the information is loaded into iObservation. Teachers get a chance to evaluate the evidence that principals checked off, which I'll show you guys here in a second. They'll receive a rating per element, whichever elements, those instructional strategies we talked about, whichever ones that they're really focusing on that are part of their yearly plan. They'll get a rating on that with the rubric. Teachers have comments that they read below that were provided by their evaluator, and then they sign off on the evaluation And if there's any problems with the evaluation, they didn't agree with something, there's a place where they can write a rebuttal. And I'll get into the the inaccurate details of evaluations here in a second. So this is exactly what it looks, what the form and observation looks like. Up top, you see this instructional strategy, instructional support personnel form. This is the area where you can find each of those instructional strategies, each of those elements. This particular instructional strategy, recording and representing knowledge, is one that I actually utilize when I was leading a professional learning group of teachers, and my immediate supervisor, this is exactly what he checked off for me. You see on the left column there, that is evidence that I was able to showcase to him, that I was able to do throughout my professional learning session. And then you see the sample participant evidence, and he checked off the things that he thought the participants in my professional learning group had mastered. So down below, you'll see where it says scale. That is where I rated myself as developing, and I'll show you guys here in a second what that means. And then obviously you can't see it, but down below there you'll see a section on comments where I could read the comments from my immediate supervisor on how he thought my observation went. So this next slide is that scale. It's that rubric that shows that specifically for the instructional strategy of recording and representing knowledge, I rated myself as developing going into the professional learning session. My immediate supervisor rated me at applying. And it just, each section just kind of tailors to the teacher, let them know exactly where they stand on each instructional strategy. And this is how it looks for all instructional strategies. So if there's an inaccurate, if a teacher feels that they have not been accurately evaluated, then again, the information loaded in observation, they go through, they read. You guys saw where it showed those check marks. Maybe something is not checked off and they thought it should be. Then they have a section below where they can add comments and provide evidence to their immediate supervisor, their evaluator, on why they believe they should have been rated a certain way. And again, the slides are going to be the same, but it really gets into this really helps you guys understand exactly what I'm referring to. Let's say that on the instructional support evidence side, so for the teacher aspect, let's say only 2 of 4 of those were checked, but as a teacher, I felt all 4 should have been checked. Then I can provide information below that shows, that details why I believe I should have been rated, or those evidences should have been checked. Same thing for the rubric for each individual element or instructional strategy. If my immediate supervisor had rated me at beginning and I thought I was developing, then I can utilize this rubric to explain to him why I felt like I should have been at developing, and then provide some evidence in the comment section. The court case that I researched and found was the Houston Federation of Teachers, Local 2415 versus the Houston Independent School District. And what this was the HFT alleged that the evaluation process that the Houston Independent School District had adopted violated their 14th Amendment. So to their right to due process. The Houston Independent School District had signed a license agreement with a company out of North Carolina, the SAS Institute, and they adopted this system, the Educational Value Added Assessment System, EVVAS. And with this system, it tracked teachers' effectiveness using a proprietary algorithm, which lends itself to tons of errors that I'll get into here in a little bit. So the teacher evals were directly related and connected to students' standardized test scores. So based on how their students were doing on those standardized tests, the algorithm the algorithm, shot out a rating based on those test scores, which really, in my opinion, is not very effective at rating their teachers. So ultimately, what was going on was, when the Houston ISD, decided to sign that license agreement in 2011, they had a goal of firing up to 85% of their ineffective teachers based on the data that they got from this new system. Well, the union, which is pretty strong there down in Houston, took them to court, and ultimately the judge sided with the union, stating that, when you're using proprietary algorithms as sophisticated as this system, there's a chance for human error. More importantly, The company, SAS Institute, thought that their algorithms were trademark secrets, and they did not want to release exactly how their system, their database, evaluated teachers and how they got their specific scores. So the judge sided with the federation, the HFT union down there in Houston. But he also partially sided with the Houston Independent School District, and he dismissed the due process claim. That the Houston Federation, was tried to sue for. So, as a future building leader, as I reflect on teacher evaluations, I've been through this process as a former teacher. I do not evaluate teachers in my current position, but I do observe teachers all the time as a curriculum instructional coach. My focus, again, is on improving teachers' instructional practices, not so much at an evaluative process, but again, just observing, and then we collaboratively plan those things together. So, for how will I ensure that I am following legal issues associated with the evaluation process? I realize that the KSDE has a handbook that I can utilize, that I will utilize, that just comes with state laws and things like that to really support teachers and administrators with the evaluation process. Collaboration for me is obviously going to be key. Obviously, whenever I get to that point, I will be a new administrator, so I'm going to have to, collaborate with district administrators, the executive directors that we have in our school district. Even pull in those NEA representatives to help me understand the state laws. In our union laws for our teachers. Whatever current evaluation system we have in place at whatever district I am in, obviously I would need to study and practice utilizing that plan unofficially until I get really comfortable with understanding all the intricate details of that plan. And just don't be afraid to ask questions. When questions present themselves, be a lifelong learner and seek that information from as many people as possible. So that is my presentation. There's my source for my legal case, as well as 3 articles. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I learned a lot from this module, and look forward to to even learning more on teacher evaluations and all the laws that go along with it. Take care.